Uh, we're pretty much set there. We're ready to go. And the first thing I want to mention, SmartMLS Stats, what is it? It's obviously a statistics program. It's probably the most powerful and best statistics program we've got, or statistics source we've got. You'll notice that there's InfoSparks and also Fast Stats. They too are statistics programs, but they're not as powerful and sophisticated. They're easier because there's less to them, so they're a little less complicated due to the lesser power. But fast stats, you get a 1 month view. That's about it. You get a month on a sheet of paper and, on a PDF rather. And it's very quick and easy. You get quite a bit of data in one shot, but there's no customizing. You can't select particular areas other than towns, and things like that. Very quick though. InfoSparks, the basic stuff. You have, I'm not even going to bother opening them. You have the most often used criteria, number of bedrooms, location, price range, things like that. The most common basic filters and criteria. And then what stats do you see? Well, average sales price, average days on market, or median, things like that. Very basic. The basics. I keep saying that word over and over, but frequently used. Now, Smart MLS Stats goes a lot further than that. And another question you might have is, how do you get into it? Well, obviously, you have a link here on the SSO dashboard, but let me get into Connect. I did not do that earlier. If you're in Connect, you got a couple of places to find it here as well. First of all, in the Tools widget, you'll notice that you have a bunch of links to other programs here and services. Okay, so you don't have to leave Connect to get to these other programs and services. They're right here for you, including SmartMLS Stats right here under Tools. Also, on the menu at the upper right, you'll see Tools. Click that, and you have an exact duplicate of the widget. Same thing. And here again, SmartMLS Stats. And if you're under the search menu here, or rather the reports menu, excuse me, if you're under the reports menu, SmartMLS Stats is right here. So there's 3 places in Connect where you can go to get to it. And of course, these are available on the app as well, the SmartMLS app as well. Same thing. Back to the dashboard, and I'm going to click here on it. Why not? And it launches the program. And here we are on the dashboard of the home page of SmartMLS Stats. And I'll go through a few things. We're going to talk a little bit about navigation and as we go along, as well as features and getting into the reports. So first off, at the very top, you'll notice that there are PDF reports statewide for the year, statewide for May this month, last month. It'll be the previous month always, and then counties for the previous month, and then a quarterly report for the state, and then a 2024 year-end market overview. And you click on the little PDF icon, and you get the report. So here you are, 2024 Connecticut market overview for the entire state. And here you have the various graphs and so on. So as you can see, there's a lot of data, and it's presented in various views and ways. Okay, so very powerful program. A lot of info here. If you're a numbers person, you could get totally lost and spend days in here, with it. Now, below that, you'll see that these are where you get those reports. They're broken down from market reports, know your market, comparison reports to find opportunities, the dashboard or dashboards to support decisions, deal level infographics. And of course, there's rental reports because everything here, the normal stuff you get, is single family and condo sales. So they have a separate report here, market report for rentals, no commercial. Okay. And I'm going to get into migration reports shortly. That's pretty cool. And then there's a little CMA as well, a little snapshot CMA as well. So there's where you have the main information. There is a setup for appraisers, okay? These folks have been kind enough to add a couple of reports that are beneficial to appraisers specifically. So, and I am going to show those to you at least briefly. You might like them too, even if you're not an appraiser, you might appreciate the information. Upper right, you see resources, and here you see reports, and that's where we are right now. We're under the reports, but then there's also a glossary. I can click on that, and it goes down to the glossary, and it goes down to an FAQ. I want to go back up to the top, lower right, I click the arrow, and back up I go. Contact support, I'll click on that. Now, we are the support for this program. If you have any needs for it, any questions or anything like that, we are who you call for it, okay? As a matter of fact, if you fill out this form here, this contact support form, what it'll do, it sends it to us. So our support people get the equivalent of an email from this form that you fill out. So it's kind of neat, you have that. And then one pagers, that pops open a separate tab. Keep an eye on the tabs up here. A lot of what this program does opens in a separate tab, quite a lot of it. So keep an eye out on that. But here's little one-page explanations of the three main sections or report sections. Okay. All right, so there you have help and some information on it. Now I'm going to go back to the top. So you see there's quite a lot here. Now on the lower right, you see featured data. Now, what if you're looking to do a specific thing? Here's some suggestions here. You might be looking to calculate appreciation, home values, inventory, support price drops. Oh, well, you want to support a price drop. You're trying to convince your seller that they need to reduce the price, for example. How would you do that? Well, click support price drops. It's going to tell you. So for that, support a price drop, here's why you're doing it, if you don't know already, Where do you find it? You got to go to market reports and then monthly price drops. Market reports and monthly price drops. There will be the information you need. Okay. And here's some quick stuff on the bottom here, what we know now. And this is, across the entire MLS. This isn't for any particular town, which is what you're going to need, but just some basic, again, statewide info right here. But we need to get to market reports, monthly price drops. All right, let's do that. We go down to the lower right and click it, and that rolls up to the top, and it's market reports, right? Well, there's market reports right there. Click that. And then on the left, we go down here, left, price drops. There it is, monthly, and price drops. Click that. So now, here's some information about price drops. And of course, you're going to want to, and right now it's the whole state, right? You're going to want to pick a particular city. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go Bridgeport. And I only want Bridgeport right now, right? So I click only. There we are, Bridgeport only. Come on, load, load, load. And there it is, Bridgeport only. Okay. Click that, and there we see that we have Bridgeport. And I can look at other things too. I can look at the particular zip code area, price range, and so on, which you would probably want to do for this. But just to show you, we now have some basic information. 126 active listings right now, 46 of them have had a price drop. Average was 37%. That's 37% of the active listings here, okay, have had a price drop. And you can see the other information here, number of sales with a price drop and May and so on. Then you can come down here and you can see these graphs. I'm not going to go through this too much. You can basically see asking price, active with a price drop, average price drop in these particular price ranges, okay? And outcomes, days from price drop to pending, and number of new pendings with a price drop. So we can see here that May of 2025, it was it was a median 17 days between the price being dropped and going pending, right? So, and there were 10 pendings that had a price drop, new pendings with a price drop, okay? So you see that information. And you can show this to the seller and say, look at how many there are, look at what the results are, how fast they're going, and things like that, okay? So that's the idea behind this. Now I'm going to go back out to the main page, the main dashboard here. Notice that I that still have that tab open. So now I'm going to go back in. I'm not going to go back into market reports. Excuse me. I'm not. I'm going to come down here to migration reports and I'm going to click that. Now you'll notice that it opened up another tab again. So I still have my market reports tab open. And now I've got this migration tab open and the original dashboard. This is very convenient. You can bounce around between 2 or 3 different tabs, 2 or 3 different sets of information, right? And you can close any one of them at any time you like. I'm going to go back to the migration here. So what's migration? This is just a cool thing to show you early on, right? It's good information, but just want to let you see this. There's not much to do with searching or anything. So right now we're looking at where are Connecticut sellers moving, and this is over the last 12 months. Well, from Fairfield County to New York State, we've got 430 over the past year. And then here's another big one here. From Fairfield County to Florida, we've got 397. And you can see this, okay? And then like to North Carolina, 164, and so on, right? And then from New Haven County, you can see that we've had 321 moving to Florida, and you can get all this information. So you see where Connecticut sellers are going. You know, where are they moving to? Also, you can see a map of this. So now there's a color-coded map. And here's the states listed right down the side here, 48 states at least anyway. So overall, the entire state of Connecticut during the last year, 1,427 moved to Florida. New York, Massachusetts, and so on. So you can see what these migration patterns are out of the state, leaving the state. Okay. And you can select a particular county if you want, and you can change the time period, which I'll be doing in a little bit. More importantly, where are the buyers coming from? All right, from New York during the past year, Fairfield County has gotten 1.58 thousand. Okay. All right. 1,000 buyers moving in from New York. Okay. So that's significant. And you've seen the results of that already. You noticed that yourself. But here you have the actual numbers. And then we've got New Haven has gotten 645 and Litchfield 251 and so on. So now you see where they're coming from. And you can see that down here too. Massachusetts, Hartford County has gotten 327 over the last year and so on. Okay. Wyndham 215. Now, this comes from you. When you're closing on a listing or when you're getting ready to close, there's the question, where are the buyers from? Where are the sellers going, moving to? And we talk to a lot of agents, they say, that's nobody's business. Well, it is everybody's business. Here you go. Here's the business right here. All right. So you get that. You can see that. Okay. So do fill that in. All right. Say, I don't know. Well, ask, when you're doing the closing, when you're doing the sale, check with the buyer's agent, whatever you need to do, and put the accurate information in, because here's where those stats go. All right. So it's good to have that. Now, you can change the time range. I'm going to come down here and look to the right, bottom right here. You'll see there's a time range. Now, what I'm about to do works the same way throughout the program. Everywhere in SmartMLS stats that you see that you can change a date range, this is how you will always do it. You click on the date range, right? And it shows today, June 1, right? Okay. Or it goes the start date of June 1. It shows this month. When it says today, that means this month. And then here it shows the actual today, all right? Now, we want to go back. Let's say I want to do year to date. So what I'll do is click on today, and I'll say fixed. And I want to go year to date. So I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to click on 2025, all right? And I want January 2025, and I'm going to start with January 1, 2025. I'm going to apply that. Open this back up. And now you see we have Jan 1, 2025, and it goes up to today. Now I can change this date as well. But now we've got year to date, okay? And we can see how the numbers go year to date. Yeah, here we go, 579. So you see how that works. And that, again, that's how the date works everywhere. Okay. And you can download, by the way, you can download the data from this also. Now, there's a buyers from map. It's the same thing where Connecticut buyers moving from. And here we have New York, the state of Connecticut, the past June 1, 24, June 18, again, the past year, 2,854 have moved in from New York. Okay, so, and then Massachusetts and so on. Okay, and then buyer from out of state. Here you can check it where Connecticut buyers moving from. You can look at a particular area in Connecticut, a particular city or county or zip code in Connecticut, and see where the buyers are coming from for that specific area. Okay, and I'm going to close this tab. There we go. Now, I'm back. I'm going to show you. I'm back into market reports. Okay, so I'm back to market reports, and if you look to the left, it would start off with monthly sales and pricing. So when you look at this, you'll see, again, I selected Bridgeport. Once I select a city or any information up here, anything up here, it's going to stay as long as I'm in this tab. I don't leave this tab and I go back and forth between these. It keeps the same filters. Okay, so it'll clear them if I move out. All right, so maybe I'm only looking for single families. Okay, so I'll narrow it down to that. But that's how that works. Now you can see I narrowed it down to single families. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to including condos, show you some other stuff. But that's how you narrow things down. Now I'm going to go back to this. What we have here, you see this is a graph for last month. So all of this information is strict, or not all of it, but, well, yeah, it's all strictly for last month, excuse me. This is all of it. Now look at this graph. Single family is the dark and the condo is light. In this price range, 13 condos, right? No single families, it looks like. And then here, in this price range, we had 16 single families, as you can see, and 13 condos in this price range. And then down here, you had 12 single families, 1 condo. And then after that, you have nothing but single families. You can see that immediately from this chart. To the right, number of sales for May 25 was 59. That's down 13% from the previous year, from May of 24. Okay. And then the price is up 2.8% from May of 24. And you can see these numbers and the changes, the percentage change. Below that, here's another little chart, a little graph rather, if you will, our line graph. And here we see by price range here, and we've got 0 to 199. That would be the blue. And here's your condos. Notice it's not in single family, so it agrees with this. It's just a different way to see this quickly. So you can see the different price ranges. And then here's the percentage of single families in that price range. And you can see it's all broken down here. And so on. So that's kind of interesting to see. Market pricing. All right, so what we've got, all right, the cost over the last 3 years. It defaults to 3 years back, and it shows you the median pricing during that time. So you go back to January of, here's a red, 2023. And here's your median price. And then January 2024, and then 25. So you can see how things have changed during the 3 years. And you can follow this along. It's the same thing everywhere, okay? Now, I'm going to go below that. Below that, here's a similar chart, or here it shows the entire year. So here's median sale price for each year, not broken down by months. And you can see these changes. You go down to market activity, and there's a lot more you can do with these, by the way. You can play with these a little bit. I'll show you in a minute. You go down to market activity, and you got total dollar volume, and this is broken down by month. And then you've got number of sales. So we go to May 2025, And we see that we've got 19,593,000 and so on for volume. And we've got 59 sales for May of 2025. Let's go back to May of 2024, and you see that the dollar volume is a little higher. The sales are higher. That's the total volume. All right, so we're going to the total volume, May 25, and the total volume here, May 24. And then we come back up here, and you'll see the number of sales, 59C down 13.2. And you saw that in the graph where I just was. Okay, you could see that they went down. Total volume down, and dollars went down a bit from the previous year. Okay, so this just gives you a quick and the actual numbers for this graph here. Okay, but again, of course, here you can look at different months, right? Now going back up a couple of things, you'll see this map. The map shows the last year. Even though we're looking at months, this shows the entire year. There's some talk about putting this map into just monthly to agree with the rest of this. It's just been talking about it. I don't know if it'll ever happen. But for now, the map is broken down. It's color-coded for zip code areas. So there's your 06605, 04, 07. You see, so there's Bridgeport zip code areas, okay, and the median sale price in that zip code over the last year. You can download the information, not just this map, but you can download all of this data if you wish. Okay, and the download button right there. Another thing you can do, you can come down here to this first graph, and you'll see that, of course, it's median sale price, right? Well, what if you don't want that? Well, click on optional metrics. Maybe you want average sale price. Fine, select average. There you go. There's your average sale price. Maybe you want average dollar per square foot. There you go. Okay, so you have these three metrics that you can choose from. Now, okay, so you're looking at that now. You want to go back. I want to go back to median. So all you have, and whatever else you might have done. So you come up here and you just hit reset, and it puts the graph back in one click. Also, you'll see here under more, there's export. So I can export the data for this graph. All right, just this graph, but I can export it all, right? And then here you have the filters. So I can see what filters have I applied. Well, I've got Bridgeport, the city. If I had done more filters like property type, number of bedrooms, and so on, I would have seen that listed here. So I can quickly see what filters I've got applied to this. And then as we go down, you'll see it's the same thing, optional metrics and filters and resetting and exporting and such. Now this particular graph, for whatever reason, doesn't have that. Okay, not sure what's going on there, but there's a couple of graphs that don't have these options here that we think should, and we've already requested it. Okay, so if you see any of these things missing from a graph, we've put in the request already. Okay, so anyway, here's what you've got here for your monthly sales and pricing. You go down below that, you've got buyer demand. I'm not going to go through everything, but you got buyer demand. What is that? Well, buyer demand shows you what constitutes buyer demand. Well, how much over asking are they willing to pay? And the number of sales. So if the number of sales is up a bit and, all else being equal, it's a higher buyer demand. The percent over asking goes up, they're willing to pay more, buyer demand. Okay. Wasn't a lot going on here, right? And days on market, the less the days on market, must be higher buyer demand, right? And then here you go by price range, the buyer demand by price range. You can see the data there, okay? And then there's inventory, sales and pricing, and so on, okay? So, so again, you have a bunch of other things you can look at. I don't have time to go through each and every one of these, but you see how this works, okay? Now, I'm done with this part of marketing, this market reports here. Rental reports is very similar. Now down here you have comparison reports. Okay, so we'll look at comparison reports. And what's going on here? Well, this is comparing, but what's it for? Find opportunities within this area. Okay, so we'll go back here. So now you're comparing things for the most part. So again, here's May and number of sales. This is total for the MLS, and then it's broken down on this chart by county. So you can see the number of sales per county. Come down here, you see the sale prices broken down by county. Okay, you can see all the counties here. Kind of interesting that this one, these are all very tracking, very similar. And then here's buyer demand. Okay, so days on market, percent closed over asking. So there you go. Median days on market is what we're looking at here. We could also look at percent over asking at closing. Okay, so we can see these numbers. There's 2019. You can see things. Well, you remember this. Here we are. So you can see what's happening here. Now, this is a scatter chart here. I think that's one of the terms I've heard used. So on the left side, you'll see for buyer demand, this area here favors buyers because what you've got is average percent over asking and then median days on market. So what you really want to see is that the dot for you down on the lower right. You want to go way over asking and you want a short days on market. So we see here that Litchfield and Wyndham favor buyers. Okay, longer days on market and less percent over asking. Let's see, and then we get into here. And Fairfield, we have a high over asking, yes, percent over asking, but long days on market. You can see how these work. Hartford is the closest to perfect we've got here, right? So there's your data there. And the size of it represents the number of sales. The bigger the circle here, the bigger the dot, the more sales, okay, which you can see up here. And you can narrow it down. You can just go ahead and you can look at, say, 2 counties. All right, so what I can do is uncheck all of them. I want to select 2 counties. So it's easier to just click up here, uncheck all of them, and then I want to compare, say, Fairfield and let's say, I'm just going to say Hartford because it's close. It's here. So now I'm comparing 2 counties. Here they are on the map. Okay. Here they are on the map broken down by towns. And here's the data for both counties. Now the graphs show only the 2. Okay. So you can compare 2 counties here. Okay. Yeah. County table. Again, you're comparing the county. I'm only comparing the 2. I'm leaving it at that. All right. And cities, you can compare cities, city table, zip codes. You can compare zip code areas. You've got heat maps. All right, so here's the heat maps for the 2 of them. Median days on market. Here's the heat map for median days on market. And the lighter the color, the longer the days on market, like up here. 47, you can see. And then over here, very dark, it's, who knows? It's 7. Okay, it's 7. So you can see the color coded heat map right there. There's the data. Average over asking, number of sales, median sale price. So you can see the comparison quickly with a heat map. So this could be useful too, again, if you want to compare 2 cities, all right, 2 counties, anything like that. Okay. And remember, don't forget, you have the optional metrics and you have, for almost all of them, you have reset, export, and it will show you what filters you're using. Okay. Now, another thing I didn't show you earlier, download. There's a download button. You can download this data. Actually, when I say download, excuse me, it's not downloading the data, it's downloading the page, excuse me. You want to save this page, right? You want to print this page, maybe save it or something, right? So you would hit download. And what do you want to download? Well, you don't want to leave it on all pages. This is a common error. I was saying I only want this page, the city page, right? I'm going to cancel this for a minute. I only want to print or download a PDF of this page, the city. So when I click download, if I leave it on all pages, I am going to get everything on this list, all of the pages in this list, right? Not what I wanted. So I click select pages. Now I select the one I want. Doesn't matter which one I'm on, it makes no difference. The download button gives you all the options. Well, I want the city, which is what I'm on. This is the one I'm on. I want this one. Maybe I also want another one. Maybe I want the heat maps as well. I can do that. I can select both of them and click download, and I'll get a PDF of both of those pages. It's not all that unusual. We've gotten a few calls, okay, over time, time we had a few calls from people saying, I only wanted this one thing and I got all these extra pages. Why did I get all these pages every time? Because you left it on all pages. So that's what you got. So again, there's the download. I didn't think of that. There you go, download. And I can go back and show you that in some places, the download button is under the map. Okay, so it's in different spots, different places. Okay, and I'll close this one. Back to here. There's the migration reports again. And then we can go back down here to dashboards. All right, click on dashboards. Now in dashboards, that behaves one little different thing. You pick a county. So if you pick a county to look at. So for example, I'll pick on New Haven, Middlesex, right? And it shows you New Haven, Middlesex on this map, and it shows you year to date the price ranges. Okay, and it's defaulted to um, again Middlesex here, but I didn't pick it up here, so I can go to dollar per square foot. And here it is. Okay. And I'm still with Middlesex here. Okay. It's still there, but it's not mentioned up here. I could add another county if I wanted to. I could just go ahead and put Middlesex up here, maybe another county. I could pick particular cities in New Haven, Middlesex. Okay. Yeah, it's two county, New Haven, Middlesex. Again, with a county, I didn't mean that. It's New Haven, Middlesex. Oh, that's what I'm looking at here. I need more coffee. It's the end of the day and I still need more. It's it's both counties in this one map, and we're looking at both counties. Maybe I only want New Haven. This is what I wanted to show you. You only want New Haven. Now you can narrow it down, and you don't have to have both counties. But you can select both of them, leave it on both if you wish. You don't add more than that. Because remember, in the beginning, you clicked on the counties on that map, and that's what you get. And again, I can narrow it down to cities. Perhaps I want to narrow it down to Milford, right? And I can, try, see that. I can just start typing, it'll find it, and I can click only. Now, having clicked only, you might think that I'm stuck with that. I picked Milford only. Not a problem. I can click back into here, and maybe I want orange as well. So I can just go ahead and do orange, and I can check it. And as long as I don't click or only for orange, I'm going to get both towns. Okay, so I can see both of them here. All the graphs and so on will be together. And here's the different dates. Okay, so here's the comparison between the years. Okay. Now here's one that's interesting. Best day to list. This is controversial. Best day to list. So what's the best day to list? I'm going to narrow this down to one town, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to uncheck orange, right? I'm going to say just Milford. What's the best day to list in Milford historically? Well, you see the percent closed over or under asking price, they're all over. And we see that properties that were listed on Wednesday seem to typically get 1.6% over asking. And you see the others are lower, right? And how many have been listed? Okay, historically. And this is for a long time period of time. This is Jan 1, 23 through today. And again, remember, I can open this up and I can narrow it down. So I can make it, I'll do it again. I'll make it, oh, hold on. I'll do 2025 and I want January 1, 2025. Apply that. So now year to date, okay, year to date, a little bit different here. Now it looks like Tuesdays, year to date, looks like Tuesdays are the best days to list. We only got 15 listed on that day. Okay. And then we see Thursdays don't look so hot, right? Under, but 36 listed on that day, year to date. So here you have the information here. Now this isn't cast in stone. All right. This isn't like, guru stuff and crystal ball stuff and all that. This is just looking back at history, statistics of it. Um, and there could be other reasons. All right. You want to go back a little further than year to date to get a better idea. But anyway, this is what you have here. So it doesn't look like Sunday's a good day anyway, right? To list the property. So there you are. And you can think of other things too. Remember that your public open houses typically are on a Saturday or Sunday or, that kind of thing. So, maybe you'd want to list it a little earlier or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a marketer, but you can see this data and you can probably make something out of this. All right. And then there's price drops. And again, we're looking at Milford and yeah, we're looking at Milford. Okay. So here's the listings themselves. 81 active listings, 25 have dropped their original asking price. The median price drop has been 50,000. Okay, from a median listing price of 614.9 after 36 days. So now you can see. And how many days was it listed before the price was dropped? This thing was on the market 242 before they dropped the price, and so on. Okay, and here's your scroll bar here. Okay, so you can see this information. Outcomes in the last 90 days. Listings with price drops gone under contract now 49 days after dropping. 49 days after dropping their price. And then here's the actual listings where they dropped it. And here's the average line right here. Okay. So you can see that information. And so on. Now here's the appraisers. Here's appraisal. Okay. So you look at this. One of the things that drives appraisers nuts is that they haven't really been able to go back specific periods of time, like 1 year, 3 years, and so on. And the banks require that. So the banks want to see over the last 3 years what has been the data, the number of prices and this and that. So now they can get a better picture, the appraisers can, of data that they can send in to the lending institutions, right? So how do they do that? This is going all the way back to 2023. It only goes back 2 years, by the way. That's the most anybody ever asks for. So appraisers don't need to go back any more than 2 years for their data. But they can go back, let us say 1 year. Maybe they want to go back 1 year. Okay. So they put their cursor here, hold down the left mouse button, and drag across, and go back to June 2024 and let go. Now they've got 1 year. There's 1 year of data right there. Okay, for Milford. Now they can come down here. Here's the exact same graph. They're identical. They are duplicates, right? But now they changed it back 1 year. Here they can see further back. Also, clicking on this, they can look at dollar per square foot. So what they can do here is maybe go back that 1 year. Let's go back that 1 year. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on a second. Reset. Okay. Hang on. Going to do dollar per square foot, and I can take out median sale. So now I just want to see dollar per square foot. And I can go back that same 1 year. So there we are. So now they see the median sale price during the past year, and here they see the dollar per square foot going back that year. Okay, so, and here it shows you what the range is. So this is something that appraisers can use. It's helpful to them. Might be helpful to you too. The other is linear regression. I'm going to click on that. I don't purport to really understand this that well. Okay, not an appraiser or anything, but here's what you got. Broken up quarterly. So so from 9 to 12 months back, 180 sales, 6 to 9 months, 3 to 6 months, and 0 to 3 months. So 3 months, during the past 3 months, this is what you got. And then 3 to 6 and so on. Now, and then here again is the averages, okay? And you can see the graph here, okay? Now, oh, by the way, they can export this data. CSV, Excel, Google Sheet, okay? So whenever you see export, that's what it'll do. But now there's outliers. You know, some of these are going to throw things off maybe because they're way out there. Look at this thing. I mean, this was 2,750,000. The next closest, the next closest one was can't even find it, get it here, but so you can see that's way out, right? Then you come down here and you've got these two that are outliers. These are way under, right? Way down. So they can get rid of those. You click on remove outliers. Now here's the one that's 2 million, 2.75 million. Let's just uncheck that and remove it. See that it's gone there. This one is 2.48. So we can, you can get rid of the ones that are too high. All right, the outliers, just uncheck, but it's a one at a time thing, to uncheck them, okay? Then you can go to the other end of it and go down here. You say, well, this one, 10,000, really? So you can uncheck that one. That's obviously a bad outlier. This one here as well, uncheck that. So now you get rid of those two outliers. And we see that, didn't do anything for now, but we see that the numbers change. For any period that those fell under, you can see the numbers change and you got a little bit more accurate information. It's a little bit closer to what you want. Okay. So that is the linear regression. And these two, as I say, these are things that appraisers need for to present to the lending institutions for their appraisals. Okay. So it's nice that somebody finally recognized that they need some help, right? Okay. And I'll drop this one here. Now, to get back to the main menu, get back to it, don't be using the, yeah, don't use the back button in the browser. It might work here and there, but don't do it. It's not safe. Like Connect, it's not a good idea. Actually, this isn't as bad, but don't use the back button in the browser. If you're in any kind of an online service, some sort of online program or system, you generally should not use the back button in the browser. Try your very level best to use any buttons or links or something in the program itself. So here we are, back to menu. Remember, I clicked on New Haven, Middlesex to get into where we were. So now I click back to menu, and we're right back to here. So next thing here, I'm going to be very brief with this next one. CMA snapshot, click that. And now I'm going to select a county, and I'll do, where is it? New Haven only, right? And zip code, do the zip code 06460, I believe. Huh. Why am I being stupid? I'll type to search here. Hang on. There we go. All right, so I'll say 06460. Now I've got one zip code area in Milford. Here's the two Milford zip code areas, but I'm gonna do that. So I want that, and I'm gonna hit enter. So now I've selected this single zip code area in Milford. And here you can see that I can narrow it down further. Number of bedrooms and Maybe I want uncheck everything. Maybe I just want, say, 3 to 4. They don't exactly go in order, do they? Let's say I just want 3 to 4 bedroom, let's say, okay? And whatever else I want to select, okay? And here we see, again, it's a little scatter chart here on this. Here's the median. This is where the median sale price falls into, just right around 500K, a little over and under, right around in there. And the dollar per square foot, that falls right in here where it's dark. This is where they're grouping together. Most of them fall into this range. And there's a few outliers in both areas. There's a few outliers here, right? So you can get a good, clear picture of where the majority of the listings fall. Down here, the sales, okay, square footage, and here you have the line. This is your this is your average line right here. Then here again, you have a scatter chart of where they are. 350, 400, and so on, right? Dollar per square foot. And then here you have the actual listings. Here they are listed right out. Okay, so you see the actual listings down here. And then you can go comps. This will be your full list of comps here. Of course, you didn't set a price. I didn't set a price range or anything. I could. All right. So if this is square foot. Okay, it's not a price range. I could put square foot total. Okay, narrow it down here a bit. Get that list. If I want to, I can hit adjustments. And this is kind of cute. I can come down below here. Here's price. So close price. Now I can enter a range, a price range if I want to, which for a CMA you normally wouldn't. Dollar per square foot. Now here we have a comparison. Both sides are identical. Okay, so I can calculate the adjustment value. Okay, compare group A, for example, with feature to group B without the feature. Okay, it's recommended to define a square foot range. Okay, for it. But let's see what we got here. So A, B. So let's say B, I'm going to change the number of full baths, right? So B is looking for, A and B are both looking for all the full baths, right? But I'm going to knock out the one bath. No one baths, okay? All I'm going to get is 2, 3, 4, but 4 is a bit high. I'll knock that out. So now I'm going to get 2 and 3 bathroom over here, right? Now, what does that change? Remember, both sides were identical. 417 sales, okay? This is the size, the average size of the property. And then here's the median price. So those with 2 and 3 full baths, okay, are a little higher than, oops, we've got all of them selected over here, right? Maybe we'll just go 1 or something. We can do something like that. So now we can do a comparison. 1 and 2 to 3. Okay, so, and that's like an adjustment. You can make a little bit of an adjustment. You don't have to use both sides, but there you go. And then here's the qualities, dollar per square foot between, year built, square foot, acres. Okay. So this is a little CMA within the program itself, within SmartMLS stats. It's not quite the same. It's not quite as detailed as what you can do in Connect, and it's not quite as easy and quick as what you can do in SmartMLS stats, tax. But it's another option for you. All right, so I'm going to stop right there. Thank you for attending. Do appreciate it and hope you got a lot out of it. And I look forward to seeing your names pop up again in a future webinar. Have a good rest of the day.